This is the LowcoSports Lowdown podcast. Here are your hosts, Justin Jarrett and Wes Kerr.
Hey, Lowco sports fans. Welcome back to another edition of the LowcoSports Lowdown live here on the Lowco network, I guess we'll call it. Wes Kerr joining me. I'm Justin Jarrett, of course, and it is spring break, and that means it's Heritage Week. So we are definitely gearing up for the RBC Heritage presented by Boeing starting tomorrow. In fact, Brady Sacha, our intern, had a nice report from out at the course yesterday. Some good highlights from Coca-Cola Youth Day. So if you took the kids out there and they putted with the pros, check it out. You might have made the cut. You might have made the final cut. So good stuff from Brady. Love to see him getting out there and reporting on the tournament because he's such a big fan and loves seeing him continue to improve in that regard. So great week for us. I was able to get away for a couple of days down to Orlando with the family and we rode some roller coasters and got that out of our system. So we're ready to go for other spring break shenanigans now, including the Heritage. How you doing, buddy? You got away for a few days too.
Yeah, I saw some friends over in Nashville, Tennessee. Got to be over there for a few days and see some people. So that was a nice, good to get away and just see some friends. So that was a fun time. But I'm great to be back here in Hilton Head. Great to be back for the RBC Heritage. I mean, this is one of the best times of the year to be a Lowco sports fan and a golf fan in general, because this might be the most prestigious edition of the tournament we've ever seen. I mean, you look back to a couple of years ago when you had the COVID edition with all the best players of the tour coming to the tournament because it's just a second event back. But this year we're getting to elevated status where the prize money just is astronomically high. And I mean, it's just going to be a treat for all of us to see such a huge field and some of the best names, the vast majority of the top 10 world golfers coming here to this event. So we are in for a heck of a treat this week. And the weather, certainly there is some rain in the forecast, but it's looking pretty solid as we get towards the weekend. Just beautiful today. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it stays that way, and then the rain can find its way out of here the rest of the weekend, because I am so hyped to get over to Harbortown and watch the best in the world compete.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. We're down to 17 out of the top 20 in the world now because Rory withdrew and Will Zalatoris is out for the season. So we had 19 out of the top 20. We're down to 17. But most years, there were a lot of years where if we had a couple guys in the top 20, that was a big deal. So this is awesome this year. And we've got a guy we've already talked a little Heritage with to join us now and talk about a little more as well as some baseball, because the schedule kind of tapers off for a lot of sports during spring break, but not so much baseball. Everybody and their brother is up at the HIT tournament up at Hanahan, and I think this guy's been burning up the road going back and forth too. So we'll get Butch Mullis, Ned Mullis in here. Where are the coveralls today? Must be working today. You mowing fairways out of Harbortown this week?
No, I have been. Not now. My relief driver's in, so we're good. We're cooking now. Cooking for the maintenance guys now. Unbelievable.
Cooking for the maintenance guys. That's the fun part, right?
So good. So good. The golf course is fantastic. Little different twist this year. They usually mow rough at 1 inch. The rough is being mowed today for the last time, last night for the last time at 2.5 inches. So this weekend we're going to have a little rough.
Oh. That is,
so,
yeah, that is a little change
little bit of a twist.
A
little bit of a twist.
It's usually not very penal to be in the rough as long as you're on the right side of the fairway. But yeah, that's going to.
And it is thick. It is thick. It's going to be interesting. Little greens, high rough. It's going to be interesting.
Indeed. Who does that bring into it for you, or maybe take out of it?
Your usual bunch of characters, same guys you'd hear last week when they talk about short game all the time. You got Spieth, you got Scheffler. Rahm's got an unbelievable short game. Brian Harmon, pretty doggone good short game. He always plays well here. Kisner gets up and down from everywhere. He always seems like he makes a run at this place. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. The island is packed.
Yeah, it's busiest time of year here on Hilton Head. I mean, the summer is always popping, but everybody comes down here for the Heritage, and it's a one of a kind event here in the Low Country, and just the prestige of it coming the week after the Masters. We just saw Jon Rahm take the green jacket a couple days ago. Just describe the effect and just the vibe of this tournament compared to what we saw at the Masters with all the stress and now all these golfers just coming down here to, maybe relax a little bit, kind of take a little bit of pressure off and play a beautiful golf course. But this year with more prize money on the line, it just, maybe it adds a little bit more of that stress because there's more at stake. But just describe the vibes and the overall feel of this tournament and how players approach it after the Masters.
Well, I think it's going to be different. They're playing for more money this week than they did last week. Prize money is more this week than last week, which is incredible.
Your share is higher.
And I was out earlier today for a little bit. The crowd today for the Pro-Am looks like a Thursday or Friday. I mean, it is a lot of people out here today.
That's what Brady said yesterday. I mean, even the practice rounds are sold out. So
I've never seen anything.
That's unheard of.
This is a different Heritage, and there's no tickets around. I mean, it's just different. And
yeah,
let me tell you what. If you ever get a chance, I got to see it today. Watch Jon Rahm hit a golf ball.
Oh my gosh, it is violent process.
It is. Whew. I mean, this guy, I might be dead wrong, but I'm going out on a limb. I think he's getting ready to go on a run. I think he's going on one of those 4, 5, 6, in about a 4-year run of majors here. I mean, I think he's got that vibe where I'm not going to say they're scared of him, but he's got one of those guys that, man, he gets around the top of that leaderboard. I think they start to, I think they know they're in for a dogfight. He drives it better than anybody in the world. You
wouldn't want to get in an actual fight with him either.
He's just he's bigger, stronger, faster.
Dog,
and I mean, it is, and he's putting well, and these greens, but you better putt it here. These greens are only 3,000 square foot, pretty much piece, 3,500 square foot. You're coming off those, the greens last week were double, triple the size. So. But you really have about the same. I heard it put today, the PGA Tour agronomist told us today, he said, it's really not that different because at Augusta, you're aiming for a spot about the size of Harbour Town's greens.
Yeah, well, that's true.
So it made he made some sense.
I love what Rahm said. They asked him why he decided to go ahead and play this week. And he said, it crossed my mind, but I made the commitment earlier in the year and I want to honor it. I put myself in the shoes of not only the spectators, but the kids. If I was one of the kids, I would want to see the recent Masters champion play. And I got a lot of respect for that because, I mean, it's really easy after you got to do the whole media tour and all that stuff to just say, you know what, I'm going to take this one off. But that says a lot to me that he's thinking
but real
about.
Quick, what you were alluding to earlier with the prize money, winner share for the Masters last week, $3.2 million. This week, $3.6 million.
Yep.
That is insane. That could be a nice 2 weeks of work if Rahm could pull it off. 6.6 in a couple weeks. Take the rest of the year off.
I'll take the caddy job.
Yeah, no doubt. But it's not all golf this week. You guys are burning up the road up to, well, I guess you're not, but the team, the Baby Sharks from May River have been going up to the HIT tournament along with Buford, Hilton Head Christian. Anybody else?
Christian's up there.
Yeah. So so far, you're 1-1, right? I believe.
Yeah.
Is everybody 1-1? All of our teams?
I think so. I know Buford won last night. Buford's got Wando tonight. So I was just talking to Shane earlier about, are y'all trying to be the 5A, just why don't y'all just go ahead and get in that region? Because, they'll have played everybody in that region after next week or 2 weeks when they play Ashley Ridge. So they're cleaning it out with Wando today. So Wando's good, good, really good baseball program. And, that they'll have their hands full today as well.
Yeah,
and I don't know,
teams are 1-1. Yeah,
I'm not sure who Christian drew for tonight.
They got Bishop England tonight.
Oh, BE. Well, they're usually pretty good.
Yeah, they
Um,
are.
Then we've got Charlotte Olympic, who is usually really, really good. They lost to Marvin Ridge Monday, who, they just played for a state championship in 5A football. So, and Coach Schmidt said they look like the baseball team look like a football team. So, yeah, but they beat a really good North Stanley team last night. North Stanley is about an hour north of Charlotte, about 20 miles from where I went to college at Pfeiffer. So I knew some of those guys. Actually knew one of the coaches I played with in school. So that was nice to win. Didn't want to have to hear that for a while, but
everybody, man.
It's a good week for the Sharks. So hopefully they can cap it off tonight. Got Logan Hargis going again tonight. Hollywood going tonight. He's young. I don't know. Everybody starts to Coach Schmidt, who does Coach Schmidt's been, doing this a long time. He does a great job with managing pitching. We got region game again next week with Colleton County. I'm sure everybody's back in the region next week. I think Beaufort's got Hanahan next week, right?
They do. Yeah, and Hanahan just beat Christian 11-1 last night, I think. So
Hanahan's really, really good.
Yeah, they're solid. That's going to be a great series.
They always are. They've got two guys. Both of their starters are committed to go somewhere. I'm not really sure where, but they'll have their hands full, and they've kind of been trying to peak out, for that, kind of like what everybody's been doing, trying to, it's like we said, you want to be hot late going into the playoffs.
Yep,
that's the goal.
Absolutely.
Who are some of the studs that have shown out so far here at the tournament?
It's your normal cast of characters.
Mishik was 3 for 4. With
he went 3 for 4 last night. Tyson puts in his regular, Garrett Cole
had a couple hits and 3 RBIs.
He's Garrett Cole every 5 days. That guy just, you got McKelvey pitched really good for Beaufort last night. That's a good win last night. That team they played, Woodland's not bad. Woodland will make a run in 2A. Yeah. And, you
3-0, right?
I want to say the pitcher they beat last night is committed to go to the College of Charleston, somebody like that, or they've got a pitcher going to the College of Charleston. Woodland's always got 2 or 3 really good players.
The Reeves kid, he is he had 9 strikeouts last night, and the Eagles beat him because McKelvey went 6 scoreless, 3 hits, 8 strikeouts, 2 walks, and then Talbert finished it off with a perfect 7th. So that's
I actually I stayed here this week and helped with the JV tournament. We had the Beaufort County JV tournament, and I got to tell you, there's help coming for a lot of these teams, the JV teams around here. Let's don't forget about those guys. Everybody is pretty doggone good.
Coach, I want to turn your attention to the softball field, specifically USCB. I just called a couple of games yesterday. USCB taking on Georgia Gwinnett. They were swept in a doubleheader, but they did take one of the 2 a week ago at Georgia Gwinnett, so they end up taking one of the 4 games. And, that's a team that they could see down the road in the postseason, the AAA. So great to get that kind of experience against a quality team, and especially against one of the most dominant pitchers in the entire country that we got to see in Game 2 in Wood, Georgia Gwinnett's Alexander Wood, who went 6 innings, pitched 7 strikeouts, and allowed 1 walk. But coming into this game, she has put up some incredible numbers, had a .41 ERA, walked just 3 batters going into this one, and St. Sharks were able to draw one of those walks thanks to as Ramirez batting in the 9th spot. And I really like the way the USCB is starting to turn to the form on offense. Obviously, you're going up against one of the most elite pitchers in the entire country, and to see Ashley Nolte go 2 for 3 off of her, that's quite an accomplishment for her. Addie Reynolds, Sanaya Hamilton's really seeing the ball well. kind of dealt with some injury problems these last few years, but had a grand slam this past week in a series against Young Harris. So when you look at this USCB softball team, very impressed by the strides that they've made at the plate. Cody Yeske, I think, is doing a great job, instilling the plate discipline, the patience at the dish. And I think this team's really starting to reap those benefits, especially with some of these younger guys. Obviously, you're looking at Ashton Alty, Addie Reynolds, Mackenzie Freeman to be the main sparks of the plate, but Sanaya Hamilton really rounding the form. You got some speed atop the lineup, and Darren Miller, Amber Lacosto, excellent defense at shortstop. So I'm liking a lot what I'm seeing from this USB softball team as they get ready to make this postseason run. And it's kind of like the mentality is you got nothing to lose. I mean, it's your last opportunity to make an impression and to go on a run here. And, I think this team's going to embrace that mentality as they get ready for the postseason. I think, the pitching is going to be a big part. I think, it starts with Sierra Kinlaw, her ability to produce. You need that dominant ace in the circle. But then you look at Kaylee Busby, who's made a nice impression. Emily Williams has put in a lot of innings as well for the Sand Sharks. So I think the pitching is going to be a big factor, but I really like the offensive ability and the speed that they have, especially with players like Tamaya Whitlock and Darren Miller. Harley Walker had a nice couple of games recently. So I just want to hear your take on the state of this softball program and about what you think their prospects will be going forward.
Well, you're going as far in softball as your pitching will take you.
Yep.
That's I mean, you're going to have to play. Everybody just takes for granted you're going to play good defense, but but you still got to scrape a couple out. And, that's a huge accomplishment. I know that girl, you see this, you kind of hear when they're getting ready to go up against somebody or something, and you knew she was going to be really good. And for them to scrape a couple out on her, that'll go a long way. You get that confidence starts to build when you start to scrape runs out against good pitching. And, it don't take but a couple. I mean, it's softball games and they go quick. And, you gotta, hopefully they'll just, when they get their chance, they'll be there and they'll take it. And seems like they're a pretty good little tournament team too. They seem to, they don't beat themselves, and, they throw a lot of strikes, walk a lot. And that's usually a good recipe for success in a tournament.
Yeah, Annalise Wood, just going back to real quick, 191 strikeouts, 4 walks, and 109 innings.
I mean, that's the kind of stuff that'll take you a long way. Speaking of softball, which is, I would argue, might be the growingest sport in the state of South Carolina right now. I watched the South Carolina Clemson softball game last night, and it might be the best stick and ball game I've ever seen. Unbelievable game.
College softball played at a high level is no, I didn't. But high level college softball is really hard to beat as far as the.
Clemson's ranked third or fourth in the country. Okay, they got
that's a new program.
Yeah, they're 4 years old. They're 4 years old. The coach came from Stanford. The director of softball operations was at USCB and May River.
My friend Jeannie Murphy.
Can't beat Jenny, she's awesome. And the head coach came from Stanford. But so they're in this game, 7th inning last night. I can't remember the pitcher's name. The one that got this really good, the All-American. She hits too. They're down 2-1. She hits a 3-run shot with 2 strikes, 2 outs in the top of the 7th. And you talk about how you go a long way is when it's time for your girls or your guys, when it's time for your All-American to be an All-American, she was an All-American. And, it's that. And then, but she gives up, Valerie Cagle is her name, and then she gives up a home run in the bottom half. But the girl from South Carolina threw 168, 70 pitches last night. Something like that. She is incredible. You hate that she took the loss, but man, Otani got her.
That's brutal. That's
Ohtani got her late.
Tungsten arm O'Doyle.
The World Baseball.
Oh my God, Ohtani got her late. I couldn't believe they had a base open. That might be somebody you load them up for. And it was what a game.
It was a battle.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. College softball. It's a fantastic sport, and these young ladies. I mean, they put in the work. They're so energetic. Just love all the communication, just all the excitement, and it's just another level of excitement. Baseball's fantastic, but just the amount of energy and just the intensity and everyone from the dugout cheering, it just gets to another level in the most tense moments of a softball game. It is very, very fun to watch.
TV does not do that game justice. You've got to get up there and see how hard those girls throw.
Yep.
Well, and how hard they hit the ball.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh my goodness.
That's speed.
They hammer it. But even 10U softball, the chanting and the energy level is way up there, right, Butch?
Oh yeah, it's everything we try to get our guys not to do.
Right, exactly. Yeah, they love it though. Hey, I think that's the main reason my kid is excited about softball now.
So I have no problem with it.
Whatever it takes. But all right, a couple other former Sharks, still balling out. We saw Darren Horn on ESPN Plus yesterday. You've been touting ESPN Plus for its college baseball. Got to watch Horny yesterday and old Bugs and Bennett Romer. Bennett Romer is 7-0 now, the number 6 team in the country. How incredible is that?
I mean, if Bennett ends up being an All-American, we are never going to hear the end of this. But how goodness gracious! I mean, so happy for both those guys. You talk about putting in the work, Wes. They're putting in the work. They don't look the same.
Did you see this kind of career year coming from Bennett Romer? I mean, just this.
You know what? I did kind of, but in a different. I didn't see him doing this as a starter. I thought he was going to close, and that's kind of what they had recruited him for, and I thought he was going to do really well, especially after the fall. He's carried this over. He had a great fall.
Yeah, he did.
And he's pitched well since he's been there.
So the 31-6 now. What do you think about what are your thoughts on the Wolves' chances of a deep postseason run?
I don't know, man. That's tough, man. I mean,
number 6 in the country, you got to expect them to do something.
But let me tell you, you get into that thing. I mean,
oh, I know.
That's just who gets hot at the right time. North Greenville, they're good. You got Georgia Gwinnett in that as well. They're up there. They're ranked too. There's a lot of guys having good.
That's still NAIA.
Are there? There's another team out of Georgia that's really good.
North Georgia, maybe.
Maybe it's North Georgia.
North Georgia, yeah. Possibly.
But they've got, like I said, that's a dog fight. You're just gonna have to get in it. But they, pitching and defense wins this time of year, and they're not giving up the big hits. They're not giving up a lot of home runs. They're not, and Banks Faulkner is their pitching coach, and Banks is, won a couple state championships recently, in the state of South Carolina as at Blythewood and Somerville. So, he's pretty solid, and they're setting up. I mean, and that'll be on top of you. They've got what? They're probably 3/4 of the way done now. I mean, they won't. The tournaments will be here before you know it.
Yeah. Like once you get to May, you're getting right in the postseason.
It's you're probably thinking Valdosta State. They're number 19. Young Harris.
I know. Bennett told me there was a couple good teams in Georgia.
Young Harris will be at USCB this weekend.
Yeah, they're number 22. So West Georgia had been ranked, but they've fallen out. North Greenville number 1 though, so you got to go through them, and that's going to be a problem. They don't have to fool with the Florida teams, right? Tampa and Rollins and the Sunshine State teams, or are they in the same region too?
I don't know, but this could get ugly. The interns just saw me on the podcast, so hopefully they don't watch behind me. The 2 guys from Malaysia, they're pretty funny.
Oh, they do. Oh, no, never mind. They don't. Never mind. Southeast. North Greenville, wind gets in there as well, I think. I don't know. That might be
Mount
last year's.
Olive.
That's
Mount
last year's
Olive's
rank.
always good.
Yeah, old Cooper George up at Mount Olive, the pickle makers.
Yeah. But
All right. Well, Mullis, we appreciate you, man, and we'll have to get you back on here since you're out there. First guy on the course every morning out there cutting the grass. You should have.
it's
a good
beautiful.
report.
It is beautiful, guys. I tell you, if you get a chance, if you got tickets, get out because it is packed. It's beautiful weather and good grass growing weather. And golf course is just phenomenal, and it always is. I tried to get John to come on.
Hey,
He said he's not a podcast guy. He said, but he's the
Maybe
man.
we'll get Farrell. Maybe we'll get Farrell on here.
We could get Farrell probably. But I'll tell you, we're lucky to have Jonathan. He's just so well respected in the industry, and he just does such a good job year in, year out. And, I mean, it's that's the main thing about this place. It's always consistently good, and I tell him every year, it's like, I think it's a little bit better. I think it's a little bit better. I mean, it's just really, really good.
Good stuff, man. Looking forward to it. They're playing the Pro-Am today. They start tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit more Heritage later on, but we'll let Mullis get out of here, and then we'll hear from a few of our sponsors, and we'll be back with some more headlines and more Heritage analysis. That's what I was looking for, and predictions here on the Loco Sports Lowdown.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, Loco sports fans. This podcast and all of our grassroots local sports content are made possible by support from community sponsors, including Mickelson Law Firm, the official real estate attorneys of Loco Sports, and the presenting sponsor of our Hilton Head Christian Academy coverage. Our original sponsors are still among our greatest supporters. Ryan and Tiffany Mickelson are community pillars who will be in your corner no matter your legal needs. When you need legal representation, call on the attorneys who support Team Loco. Call Mickelson Law Firm. Hospice Care of the Lowcountry, the official hospice provider of Loco Sports, and the only not-for-profit hospice in southern Beaufort County. For more than 30 years, the committed, compassionate staff at Hospice Care of the Lowcountry have been there to ensure your loved ones find comfort, honor, and dignity at the end of life. Because at Hospice Care of the Lowcountry, it's not about dying, it's about living. Homegrown Home Inspections, the official home inspectors of Loco Sports. Jan Lucas and his team provide thorough, detailed home inspections aimed to ensure everyone goes into the transaction with open eyes and confidence. Jan would rather reveal an inconvenient truth than look the other way and provide reassurances that could come back to burn the buyer in the long run. If you're looking to buy or sell a home and need an honest, reliable inspector, call on Homegrown Home Inspections, official sponsors of Loco Sports. DDS Web Design, official SEO experts of Loco Sports. If your business or organization has a website and you're trying to figure out what SEO is, you need to call on Denise and Dave Sinkovich at DDS Web Design. They'll provide a free consultation and do all the behind-the-scenes work to boost your search engine optimization and get your website found online so you can take your business to the next level. DDS Web Design, official SEO experts of Loco Sports. American Wood Reface, sustaining sponsors of Loco Sports. Does your kitchen need a facelift? Before you start picking out new cabinets, give Ben and the team at American Wood Reface a shot. They can reface your existing cabinets to overhaul your aesthetic without the hefty price tag and reimagine your kitchen at a price point you can manage. Be sure to tell them Loco sent you, because every referral helps support Loco Sports. 4M Metals, sustaining sponsor of Loco Sports. Got metal? Your roof might need it. Metal roofing advantages include better energy efficiency, weather protection, longevity, a more aesthetically pleasing design, and the product is all green. So if you've been thinking about a new roof, go metal. Let 4M Metals be the difference in your roof. Jay's Barbershop. It's the talk of the town and the place to be in Ridgeland. If you need your ears lowered, head over to Jay's for a fresh cut and great conversation with good folks. And tell them Loco sent you. Local Pie, official pizza sponsor of Loco Sports. They sling some of the best pies in the Loco, and my kids say the mac and cheese is the best around. Hungry? Hit up Local Pie, longtime supporter of Loco Sports.
Barefoot Floor Care of the Lowcountry, the official floor cleaners of LowcoSports.com. If your feet tell you your floors need cleaning, call on Barefoot Floor Care of the Lowcountry. They provide residential and commercial services, including cleaning carpet and area rugs, tile and grout, upholstery, curtains and drapes, mattresses, and more. But most importantly, they'll get those floors so clean, your feet will thank them. Barefoot Floor Care of the Lowcountry.
Hilton Head Prep is a sustaining sponsor of Lowco Sports, and we tell you all about the Dolphins' athletic exploits. But did you know it's also the #1 ranked private K-12 school in Beaufort County and ranks in the top 2.5% of schools nationwide? Visit hhprep.org to see what Hilton Head Prep has to offer. Beaufort Academy is a sustaining sponsor of Lowco Sports, and we love covering the Eagles. With a student-to-faculty ratio of 7-1 and an average class size of 14 students, Beaufort Academy could be just the educational solution you're looking for, with more one-on-one attention. BA has a strong history of working with the whole child to prepare each student for college and life. Check them out at BeaufortAcademy.org. Thank you to all of our sustaining and supporting sponsors for their support of LowcoSports.com. Go Lowco.
All right, we are back on the Lowco Sports Lowdown. Justin Jarrett, joined by Wes Kerr, and always fun to talk with Ned Butch Mullis. He's a wealth of information. He can talk about anything, even if he doesn't know about it. So, my kind of guy. That's the kind of guys who fit in well here on the Lowdown. But Wes, I'm really excited for the Heritage, but we do have some other golf news to talk about before we go a little deeper into that, and that's USCB's Jacob Thomas earning Continental Athletic Conference Golfer of the Week honors. Was this his second in a row?
I believe you're right. 2 consecutive weeks that he has won this very prestigious honor, Golfer of the Week for the Continental Athletic Conference, and he is putting together a heck of a senior year. Just competed the Roadrunner Classic this past week over there. Yep. Finished T10, 7/223, and very consistent, solid golfer throughout these past years for USCB. I've seen his name, in these headlines for a lot, and very, very strong, especially in the longer holes, like on par fives. He hits the ball well. He's got some good distance. He's a strong putter, and as you mentioned, that consistency has been so key for him throughout his career. So, coming down here from Canada and carving out himself a heck of a career here for the Sand Sharks. That program has, found some success for a number of years, and Corey Cottrell has done a great job, leading the program, and it's got to be exciting. And as we mentioned, we should be able to get some more highly regarded recruits coming in. But great to see that. That's the third time this year he's won this honor 2 weeks in a row. So he's finding his groove at the right time as we get ready for those big postseason tournaments. So I expect Thomas's name to be up there near the top. And what a great career and season that he's had for the Sand Sharks.
Yeah, it's never been hard to recruit golfers to USCB. It's always happened pretty organically. I mean, that first class had Ron Howard's son Reed in it. It's pretty impressive, some of the guys they've brought through there, especially the international players. I got to be close to the program for a number of years, and man, just some tremendous players and tremendous people who came through there. Bunch of Canadians too. Bob Dunphy, Brad Curran, 2 of my favorite guys were from Canada. They had a bunch of Canadian guys back then, and had a lot of luck recruiting up there. So I think the word is out about USCB among the Canadian golfers. They know about this place for sure, and the European women, the women's golfers from Europe, they know about it as well. So always easy to get golfers to come down here to Paradise, where they can play year round on some great golf courses. And Oldfield's their home course. I mean, gosh, you can't do a whole lot better than that. So good deal happening over there with Corey Cottrell, who was one of my favorites back in the day. But let's talk a little more Heritage. And we were trying to round up some more people, but it's chaos. Spring break and Heritage Week. People are running all over the place. Brady's out at the golf course, but you and I can handle it for tonight, and or for today, and we'll have our live shows in the evenings this week. But we got a little bit of an impression on what to think about the golf course, which we know it's always going to be fantastic. But Butch gave us some insight there with the longer rough. That will definitely be interesting because, again, you've usually been able to get away with being out of the fairway as long as you were on the right side of it. But a little more penal rough will be interesting. But we mentioned 17 of the top 20 in the world. Rory McIlroy, disappointing to see him withdraw. Obviously, he was going to be a huge draw. But Jon Rahm's still coming after Augusta, which is fantastic. What else do you think about this field, and who are some guys that you're looking at? Who you got in your DraftKings lineup, buddy?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. I mean, we're like I said at the top. I mean, what a treat for us. You look at what we could be in store for in the future with if this tournament stays an elevated event. We could see a much smaller field, so to have not just the prestigious names, but a huge field. Be able to watch so many of these guys. This is going to be a heck of a treat for this 2023 edition, and something we might not see again if we go to a smaller tournament. So definitely enjoy what's to come here, because you never know what can happen in the future. But man, it's going to be a loaded tournament. Big top heavy field, as we mentioned, led by, of course, Jon Rahm coming over there from Augusta, the current Masters, newly crowned Masters champion, overtaking Brooks Koepka on the final day, and absolutely dominant performance there on Sunday to grab the title. But he's going to be there alongside, of course, Scotty Scheffler, who's now the world number 2. Rahm just overtook him with the Masters win, but Scheffler looking primed to be right there at the top as we get into Harbor Town. Tough to see. We'd love to see Rory McIlroy here in the field, especially winning the CJ Cup and bringing home that title just a few months ago last fall. But unfortunate we're not going to see him. But and of course, Will Zalatoris, I believe, is injured as well. So
yeah, he's done for the season. He had back surgery on Saturday.
So unfortunate, but as you mentioned, a bunch of top 20 golfers heading this way, including guys like Patrick Cantlay, Max Homa, Victor Hovland, Sam Burns, Colin Morikawa, Justin Thomas, just to name a few. Jordan Spieth, of course, defending champion. So a lot of high-end depth in this tournament, which I'm going to be very excited to see how they do here. I mean, you look at the top and you look at the big names like Scotty Scheffler, who I expect a tough week overall at the Masters. Just never really found his groove. I do think he's going to find a way to bounce back this week and go for a strong finish. I think Scheffler could be a good play when you look at a guy that maybe he's due for an opportunity to bounce back. So Victor Hovland, another guy who has been playing some strong golf, had a nice finish at Augusta. Really like the way that he's rounded the form recently. So another guy that I would definitely keep an eye on. And then Sam Burns, someone right there in maybe a guy on the radar who's right there around the top in terms of the world golf rankings, and someone we got to see a couple months ago. And that's a guy who could come on strong here and fight for a tartan jacket. So I think it's wide open as ever, because we're looking at one of the most complete fields that we've ever seen, if not the most complete field. And due to the higher stakes and due to the huge amount of prize money at stake, including the winner's share and the total purse higher than the Masters, which that's just unthinkable. I mean,
it's mind-boggling.
If I told you that like a decade ago or 15 years ago when I first started watching the Heritage, saying, well, they're competing for a sum at least a little less than $1 million, $750, $800, $900. That's a lot of money. But I mean, to get to where it is now, it's just, unbelievable. Just a great feather in the cap of Steve Wilmot and that tournament directing group.
Yeah, no question. And like you said, I think it is wide open in the sense that there are probably more players in the field who can win this week than there have ever been. There's usually a lot of filler in there, guys that they might hang around for a little bit, but they're not going to be able to win the tournament. But there's a bunch of dudes who can close in this field. And you look at the odds on Data Golf, and they've got Scheffler as the favorite at 10.4% to win. So that's still only a 1 in 10 chance. Patrick Cantlay second. He was second to Spieth in a playoff last year, or not in a playoff. Yeah, was it a playoff?
He lost in the playoff to Spieth.
Yeah, went to a playoff. Cantlay's at 7.9%, and then Rahm at 6.7%. Colin Morikawa and Xander Schauffele rounding out the top 5, but they're at 4.3 and 3.4%. So you're getting down into ones and twos after that. So a lot of guys with the chance to win the golf tournament, and no real clear-cut favorite, but I guess Scheffler would be the closest thing. And I think a lot of times you do see a guy who, especially the best players in the world, they're trying to get themselves into form for the major, and maybe something is just a little bit off. And then the next week, they get away from that pressure cooker. They get back on the out on the range, and they start working on it, or the putting green, and it clicks. And then they're in that top form they were seeking a week ago. And so, I think Scheffler is certainly a guy who could put it all together this week. He's so good around the greens. He can hit every shot in the bag. And I think he's got as good a shot as anybody, but certainly Morikawa's a guy we like every year. Justin Thomas is a guy who's played well here. Cantlay, absolutely. Schauffele. I mean, there's just so many names. You could run through the whole top 20, and any one of those guys could come out.
Defending champion.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely not. I mean, shot 66 final round on Sunday at Augusta. So
we've coming on strong, and there's always that passion to defend the title, and we've seen that, of course, a couple examples over the years, over the history. But Spieth, he's going to come out energized, feeling good after that finish of the Masters. I expect a strong performance from him. Shane Lowry, I feel like another guy who has performed very well here, and has that strong mindset. Very good from tee to green. I think it's due time that he's going to put up a good performance. If not, fight to win this tournament. So, but another guy who should be right up there among some others like Matthew Fitzpatrick, and Kurt Kitayama has been on the doorstep a few times.
Corey Connors always plays well here.
Yep. And then maybe a wild card to talk about, Brian Harman, right outside he's inside the top 35 of the world ranking. So talk about some local ties. Of course, Wesley Bryan a couple years back, former South Carolinian. So you talk about the story, rooting for the story. Love to see a local guy, one of the players in. As journalists, we would love a story, and that Harman would do really well and have a chance to win it. So that's what I love about this job, and just just looking through all the different storylines that are possible for this tournament. And you got the big names, you got some of the local ties. Obviously, you love to see one of those big, like we saw with Spieth. We were really happy when Spieth won. We were happy with McIlroy won. It just having that prestige of a big name. I think we've got a great chance. I mean, looking at the field, I think we have a great chance seeing that happen. But when you look at the history of this event, after being at the week after the Masters, there's always an opportunity for one of those other guys, especially this year with that bigger field, to step in. So obviously, you're going to see some sleepers find a way to creep up the top of the leaderboard, especially early. And sometimes, we see Cameron Young occasionally, and some others throughout the year. You can't really take much of account of what happens on Thursday, but I mean, you look towards the weekend, there's always a chance of seeing that the under the radar guys step in and look to make a charge. So it's very unpredictable, very hard to predict who comes out on top here. More so this year, just because of the depth of this field. I mean, more than ever.
Yeah.
You look from top to bottom. It is loaded. Anybody who can find a way to make solid approach shots, ball striking is key. Iron play, obviously with the grass that provides the extra attention to drive it straight, avoid getting yourself into trouble, and hit those solid approach shots, because those greens, you got to be precise at Harbortown. That course will make you pay for any miscues. And if you can stay consistent and find a way to hit those approach shots and land it on the green, take advantage of a few putts, you're going to find yourself in contention here. So it's definitely not easy, but this field, you look at the depth, there is certainly room for a number of players who may not be on our radar to make a push early and surprise us. So I'm just very excited for what we could see here over these next few days. This is the most anticipation I've ever had for an RBC Heritage, and I think same goes for a number of spectators, and I'm sure you as well.
Yeah, I mean, right up there with, my first one is probably the most. I was pretty juiced up for that first one because I had never even attended a professional golf event, so that was pretty exciting for me. But you mentioned Cameron Young there. I think that's a great pick to keep an eye on. He played really well here last year. He's a really good young player. We didn't really know his name that well when he played so well here last year, but that was just because he was just getting started. I mean, he had a great season. He's a good young player. Harmon would be great. We talk a lot about how cool it is to, see the kids that we cover grow up and do great things. Well, Harmon was a kid when we started covering him. The first time I covered him, the Players Amateur, the year he won, was one of the very first events I covered for the Island Packet when I first got to town. And you want to talk about being shell-shocked, walking out to Belfair for the first time from Southeast Kansas and seeing all these big-name golfers. And Brian Harmon just took that tournament by storm that year. And, I've always felt a little bit of a connection to him since then, since he won the first event I covered here in Hilton Head. So that would be great to see. But any other, I guess we've gotten through a lot of names to watch, but talking odds, we talked a little bit about the odds to win, but any guys that you like as maybe some DFS plays, some sleepers this week down the list? I'll tell you who I got.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a tough choice because you got, like I said, the depth's going to make you choose between a large number of guys who could find a way to creep up on top of the leaderboard. Corey Connors is a name I really love, a guy who's done some great tournaments here in the past. He's, it seems like every year he comes, he finds a way to get near the top of the leaderboard. And I expect him to bounce back this week. So obviously, there can be some risk involved just because of his tough form these last weeks or so. But I think you got to put his name in consideration as someone who could be an under the radar guy in terms of DFS to find a way to add on to your team. So. I think Shane Lowry's another name that could be interesting as you look down the list. And I mean, it's going to be a tough choice because I mean, I think the opportunity is there for you to go with some guys that might not be at the top, and because there's so much depth. So I'm interested to see who you have in terms of some of your picks here. I know Rietveld's normally our DFS guy and has his on top of it.
Yeah, and he'll probably make fun of my picks, but I took Spieth out of that top tier. He just has such a great track record here. He's obviously defending champ. He had a great Sunday at the Masters. I think he's going to get a hero's welcome and just be showered with affection this week because the people just love him. And so I think, he's going to play well, keep the good vibes going, have a shot to win. I got Cameron Young in there. He's just a shade below Spieth on salary. Spieth's 10,400 on DraftKings. Cam Young 9,600. I still think he's 10 out of 10 in cuts this year, 3 top 10s. I think he's got a great shot to win. I've got Lowry and Connors, 2 guys you mentioned in that kind of mid-tier, 8,300 and 7,800. Kitayama, another guy you mentioned, I've got him at 7,100. Kind of a flyer. And then my real sleeper is Akshay Bhatia, the Wake Forest kid, who's played phenomenally when he's had opportunities. He finished second in Puerto Rico on the PGA Tour and got status. So I think he's somebody who could maybe sneak up there and make some noise. But certainly there's a lot of guys. Like you said, there's so much depth. It's you're making decisions in that top tier. You got Rahm, Scheffler, Spieth, Cantlay. I went Spieth over Scheffler just to save a little bit of money, and I think Scheffler is going to be really high owned. But then, Cantlay, Morikawa, those guys are all in that top tier. Schauffele's right in there with Young, as well as Thomas and Homa. There's lots of options. Even in the middle tiers, there's some good guys. I mean, you've got past champs like Matt Kuchar at 7,700, who could certainly, have a couple great days. Webb Simpson at 7,400, not playing well right now, but he's always played well here. Where else better to find his game? Brian Harmon at 7,300 looks like a really good bargain. I considered him, but I had him last week for the Masters and he didn't help me out. So, had to hold a grudge this week. But yeah, there's lots of guys, and even like a Mackenzie Hughes down toward the bottom would be a nice pick. There's tons and tons of people who can win this tournament this week. So going to be a lot of fun, and definitely looking forward to it. And I got my 50-cent DraftKings going, so maybe I'll make a couple bucks if I'm lucky.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe we could. I'll see you. Take a look and see what my picks will end up. I'll have to do some more research, but I'll let you know when I get my my DFS picks and see.
We'll have to get a little group going.
Yeah. Maybe see if anyone else can beat us here. So I'll have to get that going. But yeah, I'm very excited. It should be a fantastic, a couple of days, and talk about the weather here as we look towards this tournament. A bit of rain potential on Friday and Sunday, but all in all, it's looking pretty solid. The weather, the temperature is looking fantastic. It's really hard to really predict on Hilton Head what the weather is going to do at a specific time, but all in all, I think it's looking pretty solid for what should be a fairly clean weekend in terms of weather. But like I said, it's hard to tell even up to the very day. And as we say, you can't control the weather, you can't control the leaderboard. But I think Wilmot and Company has done once again a spectacular job, and we'll see in terms of conditions.
Yeah, the leaderboard, the PJ Tour has learned how to control the leaderboard a little bit with these designated events. They can make sure you're going to have a pretty good one. Yeah. The weather, on the other hand, no, we cannot. But like you said, it's truly unpredictable here from day to day, from hour to hour. It might be pouring rain in Bluffton and bright sunshine on the island.
Now that I say that, so more chance on Thursday now versus Friday.
That's what I was just seeing. Thursday, we're looking at a pretty decent chance of rain. So especially, all day, really, there's a chance.
But then it's looking better on the weekend.
Now.
So. Yeah.
Friday, it's looking like it should. We may pop with some afternoon storms Friday, but then the weekend, Saturday looks good. Sunday is just a slight chance of showers, which we get most of the time this time of year. So, hopefully we can slog through it on Thursday and Friday, get through that rain and be clear for the weekend. Saturday's the big day. That's the Chamber of Commerce day where you got everybody out. And then Sunday, we just wrap it up and roll up the carpet. So it should be a great week of golf. And again, we'll keep you posted on that with live shows each day, starting tomorrow, post-tournament, wrapping it up and getting you ready for the next day. And then we'll be back probably with another episode of the Lowdown, I'm sure, later on this week, too, to get you caught up on what's happening with the high school sports scene and elsewhere. So anything else, Wes, before we call it a day?
I'm gonna
make our predictions.
Yeah, and I'm going to run it back with the guy I had last year, Patrick Cantlay, coming up short in the playoff to Jordan Spieth, but just really impressed by his ability to shine, especially, in strokes gained from tee to green, really consistent. I think the putter is going to be the telling factor, as it always is. If you can get high on the weekend and rack a few birdies, that seems normally to be the difference. But one of the most complete players on tour, very close, just coming up short. I thought he was going to pull it out late. Couldn't make the big putts down the stretch, and then that playoff as Jordan Spieth ended up pulling out the win. But I expect Cantlay to be right back there, and I think he finds a way to make up for last year's miss right there at the end and bring home the tartan jacket. But I'll tell you what, this might be the hardest year to predict it. Just because of how loaded that field is. But I'm going to stick with my guy. I'm going to go with Patrick Cantlay to get some revenge and take home the tartan this time in 2023.
It's a great pick. There are many, many great picks in the field. Man, I don't know. I don't want to pick the favorite. I think Scheffler's got a real good shot to win it. I think Spieth's got a real good shot, but I don't want to pick the favorite of the defending champ. So I'm going to go Cameron Young. I mean, he played exceptionally well here last year. He played really well at the Masters, finished 7th. Closed it out with a 68. So, he's coming in playing good golf, made some mistakes in round 3, or he might have been right there in the mix at Augusta. So I like the way his game sets up here. He drives the ball well and accurately, good short game. I don't know why, but it seems like a lot of shorter, more compact guys play well here. I think maybe it's just they're able to hit those different shots a little bit better. But man, little guys play well here. So I like Cameron Young this week, one of many that I think have a really good shot to win. But it's going to be a great week, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, like I said, I think the most anticipated Heritage 2020 was important because, coming out of COVID, everyone was looking forward to seeing just professional golf, and it has to be, to have the second event back was big. But this year, I think, with the prize money, besting what we saw at the Masters, which is something I never dreamed about for any of us, just because of the prestige of the Masters and just to see the growth of this tournament and to see it, become not just a fan favorite and a player favorite, but, just to see the tour respect that and add on the amount of prize money to where it is now and make this a yearly prestigious event, especially when you look back how close this tournament was, in trouble with sponsors like 10 years ago when, the Heritage had to find RBC and then lost its sponsor, just to see, the growth and how far this tournament has come to now being one of the marquee spots all year round. The tour is awesome to see.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, like you said, it got touch and go. It was pretty dicey for a few years, and we were really wrestling with the reality that it might go away. And to now look back on that and be where we are, there's a lot of people who deserve a lot of credit, and we owe a lot of gratitude to the PGA Tour also for the patience and the loyalty and the trust that the people in charge here could see it through that tough time and get it back on steady footing. And now looking really good. And, hopefully they can keep that sponsorship with RBC going for another round, another contract, because I think it's been a really great relationship. And I hope that, they value it as much as we do here in the Lowco, because we definitely don't want to see this thing go away. It's such a big part of, the history of this area and its growth, and certainly a big part of the history of golf. I mean, when you look at the list of winners, this is and it's the longest running PGA Tour event on the same course. So there's a lot tied up in that, and it's great that the PGA Tour values that. The players certainly value it, and absolutely the golf fans here in Hilton Head in South Carolina value it. And they showed it by selling out every round, even the practice rounds this week, and got the place packed out. So if you can't get on the golf course or on a yacht or a boat around there, catch it on the TV. CBS Sports will have the broadcast. And honestly, I'm probably going to watch more on TV than I do in person this year. Just try to catch my breath a little bit, and got to coach some baseball this weekend. So I'll watch a little more on TV this year, but I definitely want to get out there at least one day and enjoy it and take in the sights and sounds and recharge myself for another year. So good stuff.
I'm excited to get out there. Probably head out there starting tomorrow, and the weather, obviously, hopefully the rain can pass us by tomorrow, but after that, I mean, you're looking at what should be a beautiful weekend. And by the look of how quickly this tournament sold out, I expect to see some big time crowds and just so much excitement around Harbortown Golf Links and around Sea Pines. I mean, just an unbelievable event that just keeps getting better every year. And just once again, all the props to Steve Wilmot, Jonathan Wright, and everybody who has played a part in making this tournament first class. And just I cannot believe it's already here again. And really looking forward to seeing what we have in store with just an incredible field lined up to tackle this golf course.
Going to be good times, and if you need to go to the island, leave early. If you're going on 278, get an early jump this week, folks. They're here. The tournament has arrived. So, all right, Wes. Well, happy Heritage Eve. Look forward to catching up with you and the rest of the guys tomorrow night after the first round, and we'll let you know who's in the lead and what to look forward to in round two. So, going to be good times. Thanks so much to Butch, Ned Mullis for jumping on with us to talk a little baseball and golf and everything else in between. And thanks so much to our sponsors who make it all possible, and to you for showing up to listen or watch. Until next time, go Lowco.
The LowcoSports Lowdown podcast is a production of Lowco Media LLC and LowcoSports.com, an independent media outlet providing grassroots local sports coverage in the South Carolina Lowcountry. We are sustained by community support from sponsors and patrons like you. Get in the game with a monthly pledge of $1 or more at patreon.com/LowcoSports to keep us going and growing. Go Lowco.